I want you to imagine the very first thing you did this morning. The alarm went off, or perhaps the sun just woke you up. You rolled out of bed, your joints feeling a little stiff, your eyes a little heavy. You walked to the kitchen. You didn't reach for a glass of water. You didn't reach for a frying pan to make eggs. You went straight to the coffee machine. You pressed the button. You heard the gurgle and the drip. The smell of the brewing coffee filled the kitchen, and for a moment, you felt a sense of relief. You poured that dark, steaming liquid into your favorite mug, maybe the one with the chip on the rim or the one your grandchild gave you. You took that first sip, and you felt the warmth travel down your throat and into your empty stomach. You told yourself, now I can start my day. You believe this ritual is waking you up. You believe it is the fuel that gets your engine running. I am here to have a very difficult conversation with you about that specific moment. I am here to tell you that pouring coffee into a completely empty stomach, especially for those of us over the age of 60, is not starting your engine. It is stripping your gears. It is one of the most chemically abrasive things you can do to your digestive system, your hormones, and your stress levels. That innocent cup of joe, when taken without the buffer of food, is acting like a chemical weapon against your stomach lining. It is hijacking your cortisol production to make you more anxious, and it is setting you up for a day of blood sugar spikes and crashes. We are going to dismantle the morning coffee myth. We are going to look at the harsh biology of hydrochloric acid. We are going to explain why your morning jitters might actually be a cortisol overdose, and I am going to give you a new, safer morning protocol. I am not going to ask you to give up coffee, I would never do that. I am simply going to ask you to change when you drink it. By the end of this video, you will understand why the order of operations in your morning routine is the difference between a healthy gut and a painful one. To understand why coffee on an empty stomach is dangerous, we have to look at the chemistry of your stomach. Your stomach is a tank designed to hold strong acid. This acid is called hydrochloric acid. It is incredibly potent, strong enough to dissolve a zinc nail. Its job is to break down steak, fibrous vegetables, and kill bacteria. However, your stomach is smart. It usually only produces this acid when there is food to digest. When you eat a meal, the stomach pumps out acid, the acid attacks the food, and the food neutralizes the acid. It is a balanced equation. But when you drink black coffee on an empty stomach, you are tricking your body. Coffee contains compounds, caffeine, chlorogenic acids, and N-alkanyl 5-hydroxytryptamides, that stimulate the stomach cells to pump out acid. But here is the problem, there is no food. There is no steak. There is no bread. There is only the liquid coffee and the delicate lining of your own stomach. The acid has nothing to attack but the walls of the tank itself. When we are 20, our stomach lining is thick and robust. It can handle a little abuse. But as we age, the mucous membrane that protects our stomach wall naturally thins out. This is a condition often associated with atrophic gastritis, which becomes more common with every decade of life. When you pour acid-stimulating coffee into a stomach with a thinning lining and no food buffer, you are essentially etching the walls of your organ. This leads to that gnawing pain in the upper abdomen. It leads to chronic inflammation or gastritis. And over time, it can contribute to the formation of peptic ulcers. If you have ever felt a burning, gnawing sensation about 30 minutes after your morning coffee, that is not energy. That is your stomach crying for mercy. But the damage doesn't stay in the stomach. It travels up. We need to talk about the lower esophageal sphincter. This is the little valve or trapdoor connecting your throat to your stomach. Its job is to stay shut so that the acid stays down. As we age, this muscle naturally gets weaker. It becomes a little floppy. Caffeine is a muscle relaxant. When it hits that valve, it tells it to relax even more. So, you have a stomach that is now overfilled with acid because of the coffee, and a valve that is loose because of the caffeine. What happens? The acid splashes up. This is heartburn. This is acid reflux. This is GERD. Many seniors suffer from silent reflux. You might not feel the burning chest pain, but you might have a chronic cough, a hoarse voice in the morning, or a feeling like there is a lump in your throat. This is the acid vaporizing and burning your vocal cords. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach is the #1 trigger for this. You are creating a volcano of acid and then opening the lid. Now, let's move away from the gut and look at your hormones. This is the part that affects your mood, your weight, and your heart. We need to talk about cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It is what your body releases when you see a bear or when you almost get into a car accident. It prepares you to fight or flee. But nature has given us a natural cortisol rhythm. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels naturally spike. This is called the cortisol awakening response. It is nature's way of waking you up. It releases sugar into your blood so you have the energy to get out of bed and find food. When you drink caffeine, which is a powerful stimulant, right at the moment your cortisol is already naturally peaking, you are throwing gasoline on a fire. You are doubling down on the stress response. Instead of feeling alert, you start to feel wired. You feel jittery. Your heart rate climbs too high. You might feel a sudden wave of anxiety or impending doom. For a senior with high blood pressure or heart concerns, this morning spike is unnecessary stress on the cardiovascular system. You are forcing your heart to sprint before it has even warmed up. This cortisol spike has another nasty side effect: belly fat. Cortisol tells your body to store fat, specifically in the abdominal area, because it thinks you are in a survival situation. If you are struggling with a coffee belly that won't go away despite eating less, your morning habit might be to blame. You are signaling your body to hoard fat every single morning at 7 a.m. Furthermore, this cortisol surge wreaks havoc on your blood sugar. We know that many people over 60 are managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. When cortisol goes up, blood sugar goes up. It triggers the liver to dump glucose. If you drink coffee on an empty stomach, studies have shown that it can impair your insulin sensitivity for the rest of the day. This means that when you finally do eat breakfast or lunch, your body struggles to process the sugar. Your blood sugar spikes higher and stays high longer than it would have if you hadn't had the coffee. You are setting yourself up for a metabolic roller coaster all day long, just because of that first cup. Let's talk about hydration. You wake up dehydrated. You have just gone 8 hours without water. Your breath contains moisture, you lose water just by sleeping. Your kidneys have been filtering your blood all night. Your blood is thicker in the morning than at any other time of day. This is why heart attacks and strokes are most common in the early morning hours. Your system is sluggish and dry. What is coffee? Coffee is a diuretic. It makes you urinate. It flushes water out of the body. If you wake up dehydrated and immediately drink a diuretic, you are wringing out a dry sponge. You are forcing your kidneys to work without fluid. This deepens your dehydration. Dehydration in seniors is a serious issue. It causes brain fog. It causes dizziness and falls. It causes constipation. It makes your joints hurt because your cartilage dries out. By displacing water with coffee, you are starting your day in a deficit that is hard to recover from. You might drink water later, but you are playing catch-up. I also want to address a very specific group of people, those of you taking thyroid medication, like levothyroxine or Synthroid. This is critical. Millions of seniors take these pills. Your doctor told you to take them on an empty stomach. So you do. You pop the pill at 7 a.m. And then, at 7:15 a.m., you drink your coffee. You think you are safe because you didn't eat food. You are wrong. Studies have shown that coffee, even black coffee, can block the absorption of thyroid medication by up to 55%. The acidity and the compounds in the coffee bind to the medication or speed up its transit so your gut doesn't absorb it. You are effectively cutting your dosage in half. Then you go to the doctor, your numbers are off, and they increase your dose, risking side effects, when the real problem was the coffee. You must wait at least 30 to 60 minutes after your thyroid pill before you drink coffee. This is non-negotiable if you want your medication to work. So, am I telling you to stop drinking coffee? No. Coffee has benefits. It has antioxidants. It is good for the liver. It has been linked to brain health. I want you to keep the coffee, but I want you to change the ritual. I want you to adopt the 3-step morning. Step 1, rehydration. Before you even look at the coffee machine, you must drink a large glass of water. Ideally, warm or room temperature water. Cold water can shock the stomach, but warm water is gentle. It wakes up the digestive tract. It flushes the kidneys. It thins the blood. It prepares the mucous membranes of the stomach for what is coming. Think of it as wetting the sidewalk before you wash it. You need that layer of protection. Do not start the coffee until the water is finished. Step 2, the buffer. You need food. You do not need a 3-course banquet. You just need a buffer. A chemical sponge to soak up the acid. The best buffer is protein or healthy fat. A handful of almonds. A hard-boiled egg. A slice of whole wheat toast with peanut butter. A cup of yogurt. You need something solid in the stomach that the hydrochloric acid can work on, so it doesn't work on you. Food also triggers the release of other hormones that counteract the cortisol spike. It tells your body, we are safe. We are fed. No need to panic. If you absolutely cannot eat breakfast, if you are someone who just isn't hungry, try adding the buffer to the coffee. This is where collagen powder or a splash of heavy cream or good quality milk comes in. The fat and protein in the milk bind to some of the acid and tannins in the coffee. It makes it gentler. Black coffee is the harshest. Coffee with fat is a little softer on the lining. But solid food is always the gold standard. Step 3, the reward. Now, you drink the coffee. You sit down. You enjoy it. You will find that because you are hydrated and have a little fuel in your system, the jitters don't happen. You get the alertness without the anxiety. You get the warmth without the heartburn. The caffeine is absorbed a little slower, giving you a sustained energy curve rather than a jagged spike. I know what some of you are thinking. But I need the coffee to go to the bathroom. This is the gastrocolic reflex. Coffee stimulates the colon. It is a very effective laxative for many people. You are afraid that if you eat first, or drink water first, you will lose that window of regularity. I assure you, the effect will still be there. In fact, drinking warm water first triggers the same reflex. It is called the warm water flush. If you drink a glass of warm water and then eat a little something, your colon will wake up just as effectively, but without the acid damage. You can retrain your bowels. It might take a week, but it is worth it to save your stomach lining. Let's talk about the type of coffee, because this matters too. Not all beans are created equal. If you struggle with stomach pain, consider switching to a dark roast. This is counterintuitive. People think dark roast is stronger and therefore harsher. The opposite is true. The longer roasting process burns off some of the acid and reduces the caffeine slightly. It also produces a compound called N-methylpyridinium, NMP, which actually shuts down the stomach cell's ability to produce excess acid. Dark roast is friendlier to the stomach than light roast or breakfast blends, which are highly acidic. Another fantastic option is cold brew. Note that I said cold brew, not iced coffee. Iced coffee is just hot coffee poured over ice. It is still acidic. Cold brew is made by soaking grounds in cold water for 12 to 24 hours. Because you never use heat, the oils and acids that cause bitterness and heartburn are never extracted from the bean. Cold brew is 60 to 70% less acidic than hot coffee. You can heat it up in the microwave if you want it hot, but the chemical structure remains smooth and low acid. For seniors with GERD or sensitive stomachs, switching to heated cold brew can be a miracle. We also need to address the decaf question. Is decaf better on an empty stomach? Yes and no. Decaf has less caffeine, so the cortisol spike and the sphincter relaxation will be less severe. However, decaf still contains the other acids and oils that stimulate gastrin production. It will still make your stomach produce acid. So, while it is better for your heart and your anxiety, it is still hard on the lining if you haven't eaten. The 3-step morning rule applies to decaf drinkers too. I want to talk about the psychological resistance to this change. We are creatures of habit. The coffee routine is sacred. It is quiet time. It is me time. Changing the order feels wrong. It feels like a chore to eat an egg before the coffee. But I want you to think about the long game. You are over 60. You want to keep your natural teeth, your natural digestion, and your natural energy for another 20 or 30 years. Preserving your stomach lining is key to absorbing nutrients. If you destroy your lining, gastritis, you stop absorbing vitamin B12, iron, and calcium efficiently. This leads to anemia, osteoporosis, and nerve damage. The price of that morning acid bath is malnutrition later in life. Is the convenience worth that risk? Think about the signals you are sending your body. When you wake up and hit it with caffeine immediately, you are whipping a tired horse. You are demanding performance without giving it food. Over time, the horse collapses. This is adrenal fatigue or HPA axis dysfunction. By giving water and food first, you are nurturing the horse. You are saying, here is what you need. Then, the caffeine is just a gentle nudge, not a whip. Let's visualize the new routine. You wake up. You go to the kitchen. You fill a glass with water. You stand by the window and drink it while looking outside. You feel the cool water waking you up. You grab a small container of Greek yogurt or a handful of walnuts. You eat them slowly, chewing well. Then, and only then, do you press the button on the coffee machine. The smell fills the air. You pour the cup. You sit down. You notice something. Your stomach doesn't gurgle. You don't feel that slight tremble in your hands. You don't feel the sudden urge to snap at your spouse. You feel calm. You feel ready. This is not a diet. This is not a restriction. This is biology. It is respecting the machine that carries your soul. The machine needs water and oil, food, before it needs nitro, caffeine. I want to address the intermittent fasting trend. Many seniors are trying fasting for weight loss or longevity. They skip breakfast and only drink black coffee until noon. They are told this is healthy. While fasting has benefits, combining fasting with coffee is the danger. If you are fasting, stick to water or herbal tea. Tea contains tannins which can cause nausea, but generally, tea is less acidic than coffee. If you must have coffee while fasting, you are taking a calculated risk with your stomach lining. For the older demographic, the risk of gastritis often outweighs the benefit of the fast. If you want to fast, do it with water. Save the coffee for your eating window. What about additives? Artificial sweeteners. Pink, blue, and yellow packets. These are chemicals. When you put them into an empty stomach, they can trick your brain into expecting sugar, triggering an insulin response even without calories. This confuses your metabolism. Plus, some sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose can be irritating to the gut lining and alter your gut bacteria. If you drink coffee on an empty stomach with artificial sweetener, you are hitting your gut with acid and chemical disruptors. It is a double whammy. If you need sweetness, use a little real sugar or honey, but only after you have had your water and food buffer. Let's recap the why, so it sticks in your mind next time you reach for the mug. Acid, coffee on empty equals acid burning the lining. Result, ulcers, gastritis. Valve, caffeine relaxes the valve. Result, reflux, silent GERD. Cortisol, caffeine spikes stress hormones. Result, anxiety, belly fat, blood sugar issues. Hydration, coffee is a diuretic. Result, dehydration, brain fog. These are not theories. These are physiological facts. Your body doesn't care how much you love the taste, it reacts to the chemistry. I challenge you to try this for 1 week. Just 7 days. Commit to the water and the food buffer. It requires a little planning. You might have to boil some eggs on Sunday so they are ready. You might have to buy a bag of almonds. But try it. Pay attention to how you feel at 10 a.m. Do you feel steadier? Is your heartburn gone? Do you have more sustained energy in the afternoon? Most people who make this switch tell me they feel like a fog has lifted. They didn't realize that their normal morning anxiety was actually self-inflicted. They didn't realize their normal indigestion was preventable. You have the power to change your health by changing the sequence of events in your kitchen. It costs nothing. It requires no doctor's visit. It is just a choice. A choice to be kind to your stomach. So, tomorrow morning, when you smell that aroma, pause. Look at the water faucet. Look at the fridge. Do the right thing first. Earn the coffee. Your stomach will thank you, your hormones will thank you, and you will enjoy that cup even more knowing it is hurting you less. Thank you for listening. This is a small change with a massive impact. Go drink some water. And enjoy your delayed coffee.